Go home to mommy. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt and Deroy Murdock. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us. Charlie, I want to come to you. We're talking about this double standard. Again, we saw how the FBI is going after pro-lifers. They're going after, parents who go to school board meetings. Basically, those who are Trump supporters, the FBI seems to be taking a keen interest in. But you have these anti-American protesters, pro-Hamas protesters, and I don't know what the FBI is doing, but even local law enforcement, local prosecutors, mayors, administrators, they turn a blind eye.
Yeah, no, they do. The silence is deafening. And there's no doubt, can you imagine if these were Trump supporters on these college campuses, or these were Republican voters on college campuses protesting something that offended the left? These people, people like Joe Biden would be campaigning about all of it. There's, we have seen over the years, there's no issue, no fraught issue that Democrats aren't willing to exploit. But I really loved those interviews that Brian did with some of those protesters, and it really does put a fine focus on just how these are not organic protests. These are very highly organized, and they all used language like, "Oh, we're not media trained. We're not. You need to talk to a media liaison." No normal person talks about that kind of stuff, and in those terms. And it's just like they're all wearing masks. This is all, they're not all of them. I do think there are probably some genuine people there. But by and large, this is an operation. These people are professional protesters. They're professional agitators. They're getting paid to come in and disrupt things. And whenever you see something like that, you need to put your skepticism hat on and start asking real questions about the politics behind what the motives of these people really is.
And Deroy, I want to stick with this theme because I find it really interesting. If all of a sudden you're wearing a red hat that says "Make America Great Again," you are a threat to democracy, or you're stupid, depending on who's characterizing you. But having said that, when you see what happened during the Black Lives Matter movement with all the protests and the burning across America, or you see what happened at Hamilton Hall, for some reason these groups are no threat to democracy. They're peaceful.
As I watched the attack on Hamilton Hall a couple nights ago, I saw the images of the windows being broken and people going in and reaching in and opening the doors and breaking that building. I thought, boy, this kind of looks like January 6th, doesn't it?
Me too.
And yet, we hear about January 6th all the time. I'm going to guess within a couple days, the phrase Hamilton Hall will disappear from our collective memories. I had a conversation with a very wise man over the weekend who said, if you can't say it about blacks, you shouldn't be able to say it about Jews. So, for example, we've seen these protesters say things like "Go back to Poland." Somebody was carrying around a sign that said "Final Solution." If there were a protest by a bunch of people saying to black students, "Go back to Africa," and holding up signs saying "Lynch them" or "Let's have a lynching," there'd be F-16s over that campus in about 2 minutes, and the cops would be there in about 3, and this thing would be done. And yet, you watch this situation at UCLA, went on for about 2 hours. I watched it live at about 3 in the morning Eastern time. And by the time I went to sleep, I think the cops still hadn't shown up, even though this had gone on for 2 hours with both sides going at it, throwing fireworks at each other, hitting each other with wooden sticks. And if the victims are Jews, then there's a search for context, and let's try to put some special meaning into this. And if it's any other group, black, Hispanic, gay, whatever, the hate crime police are on it in just in a minute or two. Yeah. If the Jews are involved, well, take your time.
Well, the hate and the protest are they're being tolerated, is what this is.
Absolutely right.
Charlie and Deroy, stick with us. Don't go anywhere. Because after a long couple of weeks stuck in a Manhattan courtroom, Donald Trump, he's back on the campaign trail today, hitting key swing states like my home state of Wisconsin and Michigan.
Fox News correspondent Garrett Tenney joins us live from Freeland, Michigan with the details for us. Hi, Garrett.
Hey, Jackie and Sean, good to be with you. Former President Trump has been itching to get back out on the campaign trail. So the fact that he is here in these 2 states on his day off is no coincidence. Altogether, with Pennsylvania, Michigan and Wisconsin make up the Democrats' blue wall for Biden's re-election. All 3 states flipped for Biden in 2020 after going for Trump in 2016. Winning them again would nearly secure Biden a second term, but they are expected to be extremely close races. Right now, each of them is a virtual tie. One of the top issues for voters continues to be the economy, which was the focus of Trump's message this afternoon in Wisconsin.
We had no inflation. Today, your inflation's so high, it doesn't matter. If you make money, it doesn't matter. It eats you alive. But when I'm in the White House, the Biden economic bust will quickly be replaced with the Trump economic boom. We're going to replace it. We'll replace it quickly. Remember this.
Democrats are hoping to make abortion a bigger issue in this race. And today, while Vice President Kamala Harris was in Florida speaking out against the state's new 6-week abortion ban taking effect, she went after Trump for comments he made in a new Time magazine interview in which he said he'd leave abortion policies up to the states and wouldn't take action to stop states from enforcing their laws.
Under Donald Trump, it would be fair game for women to be monitored and punished by the government, whereas Joe Biden and I have a different view. We believe the government should never come between a woman and her doctor.
One thing both campaigns are united on is attacking independent candidate Robert Kennedy Jr., who today challenged Joe Biden to agree to a 50-state poll to see who performs strongest against Donald Trump and for the weaker candidate between them to then drop out. So far, no response from the Biden campaign to that challenge. Sean and Jackie?
I bet not. Garrett Tenney, thanks so much.
All right, let's bring back Charlie Hurt and Deroy Murdock. Charlie, I'll come to you first. I'm guessing Trump is in Wisconsin because we've got Fox News polling new polls that indicate Biden's got a little bit of an advantage there, 43% to 41% if the race were held today. But in Michigan, Trump's got the lead by 2%. These are all very close states. The problem is if one person sweeps them, they will win the election.
Yeah, and I imagine we're going to see the two of them in those three states a lot over the next 6 months. And those of us who cover this election are going to find ourselves in those places, those beautiful states, quite a bit over the next 6 months. When you look around and you look at the big issues and you take the sort of hysterics that come up about personality and style and all that kind of stuff, and you just look at the issues and you talk about things like the economy and you talk about things like the gas prices or the border and the mayhem you see on college campuses, Donald Trump wins on every single one of those issues. And even in in like Wisconsin and Michigan, where Democrats have this real problem on their hands because they're trying to win over voters in places like Dearborn who have become increasingly clearly anti-Israel. That's still a real problem for Democrats. It's not going to. This only lays bare the fissures within the party. And so I think that as we go forward and the campaign is prosecuted, I think that we're going to see all the issues cut to Donald Trump's favor. I don't see any of them cutting in any way to Joe Biden's favor.
So, Deroy, I agree with Charlie on that point. These issues are cutting in Donald Trump's favor, whether it's the economy, inflation, the border, foreign policy. But yet, as we just mentioned, these poll numbers have the two men, Trump and Biden, neck and neck in the blue wall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I'm perplexed. What the heck is going on here? Donald Trump should be up by 10 points in these states, but he's not.
I agree with you. He should be way, way ahead, but obviously he's competitive. I think I agree with what Charlie said, and the real beauty for Trump is this is not a comparison between Biden's current economy, leadership, the wars all over the world, et cetera, versus a theoretical Trump presidency. He can remind people, look, I was president just 4 years ago. You don't have to go back to the 20, 30 years. Go back just 4 years and ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Lowest black unemployment in history, lowest Hispanic unemployment in history. I think if I remember correctly, about a $6,500 post-inflation gain in people's after-tax or take-home wages, low gas prices, economic independence, 4 Middle East peace agreements, et cetera.
Yeah.
So you can just remind people, go back to where we were before COVID and before Trump left office and Biden came in. And I think people remember, whatever you might think about Trump's personality, wherever it might be, when it came to actual conditions under which people are living, I think most Americans were much better off back then than they are now. And hopefully
Absolutely.
they'll remember that in November.
You have two candidates who have an actual back-to-back track record. All you have to do is rewind in your mind and think about how you were feeling at that time. Charlie Hurt, Deroy, Murdock, always great to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.